guys! How's it going? It's Erica with Not Your Average EDC. Surprise video on a Tuesday! Awesome, right? I have something kind of exciting that I want to talk about today. Well, it's exciting to me because I'm nerd-y. Sorry. Always getting distracted. Look at this dude on a freaking chair right here. How cute is that? Okay, no, back to business. Something nerdy to talk about that is very exciting to me. And let's just get into it. EDC knives that are kind of like the sweet spot, perfect knife, right when you buy it. And that's including blade steel, blade length, overall length, weight, balance, kind of everything. Let's talk about it. The ultimate, perfect, sweet spot EDC knife. As you guys know, the Emerson Mini A100 to me is the ultimate EDC knife, the ultimate work EDC knife. You can't get much better than this in my opinion. However, I have recently discovered that the Benchmade Bug Out is pretty darn good too. Like, I have 4 of these now, and I really like these. I really, really enjoy using them. So to me, these 2 knives are kind of like the ultimate best bang for your buck EDC knife. And let's go over why I think that. So, for an EDC knife, if you're actually using it, you have to remember that cutting and slicing are 2 kind of different things. Like, slicing through something with this wouldn't be super easy because it's pretty thick behind the edge. With this, it would be. Like, it would be pretty easy with a thinner blade like this. But cutting is technically kind of like a sawing motion, and I think a lot of people forget that knives, the edge of a knife is a bunch of tiny, tiny, tiny little teeth that make up this saw. And realistically speaking, if you're cutting through something and you want to be efficient, you really should be doing a back and forth motion. Like, I see so many people that are cutting through things like with one portion of the blade straight down, or like just using one section of the blade, but you really have a whole blade to utilize, guys, and you're supposed to use it as a saw to cut. Like, we're into such slicey knives now that we just use like one part of a blade and we want it to be as thin as possible because we're lazy and we don't want to cut through things correctly like we're supposed to. But tying into that, if you're going to use a knife correctly and use the whole blade, that does mean that you need a blade with an actual cutting length. So this size, in my opinion, around a little under 7.5 inches overall, is ideal because you get a good blade length, not too long where it's not pocketable, but not too short where you can't actually use it, and a really nice handle length that you can fully grip. Because when you go any smaller or bigger, you're going to start encountering problems. Let's talk about when we go to the bigger side of things, okay? A 940. This is borderline too big and too long. The blade length is really nice for cutting, for using that sawing motion, because you have a lot of length to use for that. But what happens is then the handle is a little long as well, and I noticed that basically you have to remember other things too that tie in. Opening and closing the knife, you might not even think about that, but if it's too long and you can't actually grip it the right way to open and close it in a beneficial manner, you're not going to want to use it. So for me, the 940, I can't go any bigger, or longer I should say, than a 940, because the moment I go to close this, I'm going to spin it into my hand, kind of grip the knife like this, tuck the butt end into my palm, and pull that axis lock close. Now, if I'm any longer than this, I'm not going to be able to have any more room there. Like, we are just about at the end of my hand. So anything bigger than a 940 for me, I can't quickly tuck into my hand and close. And granted, I mean, my hands they're not tiny, but they're kind of small, I guess. And if you're a guy watching this with meat hands, then I guess this doesn't apply to you. But the average person with average size hands, you don't want something super long because you're not going to be able to open and close it correctly in a quick and orderly fashion. So anything bigger or longer than a 940, you might have trouble with. Granted, the blade is perfect for cutting, but the overall length, you're starting to get a little long there, okay? Let's go to the other end of the spectrum, too short. So something along the lines of a mini griptilian. You guys know I love mini grips. But I can't go much smaller than this because is this perfect to spin into my hand and close? Yes, for sure. I've got extra room there. I don't have to do it perfectly because it just, if I open it up, tuck it in, I mean, I've got room to spare. But then you're losing your cutting capability with the blade. So anything shorter than a mini grip blade, you don't get to saw very much. You can't fully use that. This is about as small as I can go if I want to actually cut correctly with a knife. If you go too much smaller, you're like, you can't. You have no blade length to work with. Like, you can't do it. So, you know, everyone raves about the small and cozy, but it's almost too small. This is a little smaller than a mini grip. See that? And then blade, yeah, you're pretty close, but shorter. Trying to match up the cutting length here. You got a little more on the mini grip, but that really does matter because, again, that length right there is really short, so like it's just not efficient to be using a tiny little blade to saw through things. You want to be able to have long strokes with a sharp knife to quickly cut through something. So just something to think about when you're looking for like the ultimate EDC knife or a knife that you want to buy, use, keep for a while, and not just like shuffle through knives over and over looking for the perfect knife, because if you go too short, you're going to encounter problems, even though it's cool and pocketable. If you go too long, yeah, it might look badass and be this big bad blade, but closing it and opening it might be tough. And also blade steel. So talking specifically about these two knives, not just the length and such, they both have really good blade steel. So the Bug Out, the original version or the base version, has S30V, which you guys know I love. It's a tough steel and it's forgiving and it's easy to sharpen. So getting something like a Bug Out where it's lightweight, easy to sharpen, perfect length, lightweight, all that good stuff, it's a really good option, for sure. And this one is almost, see, almost too long for me, but it's right on that cusp where I can't go a ton bigger with these ones. But luckily, they do work in my hand, especially if I have the right pocket clip to kind of grip onto there. So, these are very lightweight though, and I know some people don't like the lightweight aspect of this knife. I love it, but some people think it feels like chintzy and they don't like how the scales bend. So if you want something kind of similar, but a little more hefty, you can always go with the Emerson Mini A100. And this has some really cool scales on it that I just got. These are called Taro Tough, I think, from the Shutter Dug. These are really neat. Kind of like a micarta-esque feeling, but apparently way better. But this is definitely heftier than the Bug Out. But yeah, just some stuff to think about, guys. 154 cm is a very forgiving, easy to sharpen, fantastic steel as well for EDC. But both of these knives are just that perfect length, great cutting capability. Not going to tell you no. tons of options to customize these as well. I'm not sure how many of you watching are into customizing your knives, but I really like to do that. It just makes the knife more enjoyable to use for me, and I like photographing my knives, so having cool little things on them is a plus for me. That's a Grumpy's EDC bead there. We've got a Rips Garage Tech milled pocket clip, and this doesn't have much else on it that's custom. This is a gray precision disc, not the monster one. This is just a regular size. Again, scales from the Shutter Dug, and that's a Lynch clip, a deep carry clip. But you can customize the crap out of these, and also the bug out is on the custom shop on Benchmade's site, so you can build your bug out, which makes it even cooler. I definitely think that's another aspect to think about when you're looking for like the ultimate EDC knife. Can you customize it? Can you make it your own? Can you do what you want with it? Yes, with these two for sure. Yeah. Hopefully that all made sense. It was kind of like a rambling video, wasn't it? Now I'm realizing that. Hopefully it made sense. But yeah, in using blades like this, I've just noticed little highlights that maybe not everyone thinks about when they're buying a knife. Like, so many people are just looking at a knife that works for someone else, going and buying it because it looks awesome and feels awesome, and then they get it in hand, and you always hear this, for some reason, I can't quite put my finger on it, I don't like this knife. Well, it's probably because it's too long for you to open and close correctly. Or maybe it's too short for you to open and close correctly. Or maybe the blade is too short for you to actually use properly, you know? Just things to think about instead of wasting your money, because been there, done that, it sucks. I'm sticking with what I like now. Yeah, I can recommend these. I can recommend these. Anyway, guys, hope you liked the video. I'm going to pick out a few knives here for the ending, for the use your shit ending. I just blinded myself with the blade on the 940. Look at these. How beautiful are those, right? Did you guys see that blade? What the hell happened? Awesomeness is what happened. What happened to these scales? Use your shit is what happened. What happened to this whole thing? Use your fucking shit in awesomeness is what happened. Anyway, guys, use your shit. Have a great day. Love you all.